join me, please?
We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We write the speaking of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Randy Pawley, and I have the extreme pleasure of being a friend to this church. Who are we? Indeed, who are we? We live in a world today where we have global warming. We have devastation throughout our planet as we've never seen before in a lot of cases. We have Washington, Congress especially, with duplicity and self-interest. We have other countries, other nations that are in extreme need of some sort of goodness. They're working with civil disorder, to say the very least, uncertainty. Again, I repeat, who are we? I would like to see us all rise to a higher level of our consciousness. Now, for most of you, you probably know what I mean, but for those that don't, there seems to be a greater place that we might reside in. We can't stay there. Our ego won't allow that. We can't get from here to there without our ego. But on occasion, it's really nice to visit this higher level of consciousness. If I told you, or if I suggested to you, which is better yet, that you are much, much, much greater than you ever thought you could be, would you think me foolish? Well, there's a very good author by the name of Wayne Dyer who would call this higher self. There's another great author, Dr. Deepak Chopra, that would suggest cosmic consciousness. There are many authors, including one you'll hear tonight or today, Waldo Emerson. I can go on and on and on with the list, but it does exist. It does exist. And I think it's up to us to try to find it. And here would be the reason why. Just supposing that we allowed ourselves to go to a greater level of our consciousness. Can you imagine what you would contribute to an unhealthy world? It would be magnificent. But it's something for you to ponder. But it exists. It exists. In my mind it does, and several authors. So with that, would you please stand and open your hymns to number 4.
Our
Who am I? Who am I? Will you take your hand and your pointer finger and just put it against your hand, please? Now, if you would separate the two very slowly and very deliberately to its fullest extent. Now we've just opened up a very large question. Who am I? Am I to think this existence, standing before you right now, this right here, is this all there is? Am I the sum and substance of my ego environment? What I mean by that, my ego is extremely important. I can't go to work, I can't go here, I can't go there without my ego. But if I look at my ego strong enough, I understand that it's my car, my house, my this, my that. Everything belongs to me. This is all mine. And that's my ego environment. Now, just for a moment, supposing we could go higher than that. What do I mean by higher? It's becoming the whole, what is known as the whole of everything. You are part of everything. When I suggested that you are much, much, much greater than you ever thought you were, that's not a fable. That's something for you to explore for yourself. You are much greater. You may or may not have used it. Perhaps you weren't even aware of it, or perhaps you just never thought about it. But I think this is the time to begin to think about it. This is a time of great anguish all around us. And it's a time that we could deliver some healing back to this anguish. And probably the only way we can do it is to recognize ourselves as something greater than my house, my car, this, that. We tend to take our thoughts, whatever they might be, and I'm not discriminating against one thought or another. They're all valid. But they become our individual thoughts. This is what I think, and this is the way it is. And we don't go beyond that in many cases. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring us back to a time of Plato. Now just imagine, if you would, that Plato is sitting on a rock, and all out there is his students, and they're coming together, and they don't believe that reality is not fixed. Well, how do you mean you can't have different realities? Well, Plato was trying to explain this. So what he did is he came up with what's known as the allegory of the cave. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before and probably very, very familiar with it. I'm going to give you the short version of it, if I can. For whatever reason, Plato put the cave people deep in the cave. In front of them was this gigantic wall. And over here is the fire tender. And the fire tender would keep the fire going. On the wall, gigantic shadows, small ones, big ones, you name it. You ask anybody that's fixed to this wall what those shadows mean, they'll give you a direct answer. They'll tell you this shadow means this, that shadow means that. They're fixed. Nothing else matters. This is the way it is. Now, for whatever reason, an enlightened person comes along and unlocks one of the people in the back. Of course, the curiosity is there, so he does follow this person. And they come to the long entrance of the cave. And they see a very small light. And this man right now, this cave dweller, if you will, is at this point half fear and half curiosity. So he has to pursue farther and farther with this person. And as they move down the path to the opening of the cave, the light gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now at this time, the cave dweller is, he's scared. He's terrified. But he's committed. He has to see what else is there, what else is going on. So as they move down further and further towards the entrance of the cave, all of a sudden they start hearing screaming and yelling and banging and these enormous noises. And this cave dweller, all he wants to do is, my God, what am I doing here? What am I looking at? But when they get to the end of the cave, they look down and here's this beautiful ocean splashing on the rocks. And up above are with seagulls looking for the next meal, making all this horrendous noise. We call it a beautiful sight. The cave dweller called it a beautiful sight. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was completely out of his normal viewpoint. So he went tearing back. Went back to the cave. He couldn't wait to tell everybody, my God, you've got to see what I saw. They said, quiet now. Just sit down. Look at the shadows. Now I ask you, isn't this what we all do? Don't we all have a part of this? We're fixed on our one particular location, and we can't get out of that location to realize that there's something else that maybe we ought to be looking at. No right or wrong, just different. And that's why I guess I'm asking you today to get ourselves up to the next level of our consciousness. You can't stay there. It's impossible to stay there. My God, you'd be walking on water. Okay? But in any case, to visit and come back is an enormous, enormous experience. And maybe you're interested in it. Maybe you want to do it. With that, I'll give you a personal experience of my own. There are several, so I had to kind of select, but this is probably one of my favorites. When I had my corporation, they always found some great place to go, and in this particular occasion it was Phoenix, Arizona, that we went to. And at the time I was closing my corporation, and there was a great deal of anguish. There were things that were horrendous to me. I was in a position where there was enormous stress. I was a smoker, 3 packs a day, 43 years. So let me go back a little bit. I get back on the plane from Phoenix, and as was my practice, I would talk to the God of my understanding, and I would dialogue. And I had 2 big questions that were enormous to me at the time. And the one question was, I was looking out the window, and I couldn't find myself. Now, what do I mean by that? If you've been in a plane, and I'm sure you have, you see sections of farmland and woods, and perhaps a city or 2 if you're really lucky. But you don't see any people. And at this time, I'm talking to the God of my understanding. I'm saying, there's over 6 billion people in the world. How in the dickens would you ever find me if I needed you? What would I do? How would I go about this? And I anguished with this for a while, and of course the conversation got deeper and deeper, and as it did, then I began to understand the voice that was coming back to me. It stopped the foolishness. It's already inside. Now, come on, how am I going to understand that? 6 billion people in the world, and you're telling me it's already inside? Anyway, the second question I had was enormous to me. At that time, there were over 3,800 different religions. So in my head, I drew a graph of 3,800 different religions. And I said, look, I'll always be whatever it is that I have to be to hopefully make this a better place. But I would ask one big favor. It's an enormous favor. Please, put me in the right cubicle. There's 800 of them out there. Which one do I go in? And of course, I was anguishing over this thing. I would dialogue and it would come back again. Stop the foolishness. It's already inside. Okay. So I'll fast forward a little bit and I'm in my corporation. And at that time I was closing my showroom, which was pretty big. And this was a solid fuel corporation that I was in. And I was closing it up and I had all kinds of feelings about my employees and how are they going to live. They started a life with fireplace installations, my God. How am I ever going to take care of them? And I spent all the personal money I had to try to keep this thing. At any rate, it was what it was. And with all this anguish, it began to dawn on me. God, I think I'm starting to get it. It is inside of me. I had better take a good, serious look at what's going on here. Take a look inside of me. Now I regress for a moment. And I'll bring you back to my home. 43 years of smoking. I'm coughing. I'm at ill health. Believe me, I was at ill health. I have 3 fine sons that at times are crying. I mean, please stop smoking. My ex-wife was a heavy smoker. Just smoking all around. Now, if they couldn't get me to stop, there's nobody in this world that could get me to quit. I tried 1,000 times if I tried once to quit smoking. Couldn't do it. No way I'd quit smoking, then I'd pick up another cigarette and I'd start all over again. And at this time, there were 3 packs of cigarettes a day. 43 years. So, let's go forward again to my corporation. There I am in my corporation, doing my dialogue, without my understanding, trying to figure things out. And when I began to understand that, yeah, it really is inside. I thought, my God, I've got to give something back that's a sacrifice. Many religions, Mayan cultures, so on and so forth, they give a sacrifice. So I thought, what can I possibly give for a sacrifice? And you're laughing, sorry. But it kept coming around. And I wouldn't accept it. No, that's self-serving. I can't do that. Yeah, it would go around. It's like somebody took a baseball bat and clubbed me over the side of my head. Finally, it dawned on me. The only addiction I had is smoking. So what I did is I took the pack of cigarettes out of my pocket, I threw them in the ash can. I didn't say a word. I didn't utter a prayer. I did nothing except this. 180 degrees, I did that. Now I got to tell you, that was 1992, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, February 12th. I haven't had an urge. I hadn't needed to smoke. My ex-wife was puffing all the time. My friends would be puffing all the time. Didn't bother me one bit except for the smell of the smoke. Now I tell you, at that time, that was an enormous, I can't tell you how big of a thing that was to me. To understand it wasn't Randy who went like this. There was a greater self that's a part of a whole. Now, if the whole doesn't strike you as being valid, then get on your computer or wherever you want to go and take a look and find out that you are made out of the very same stuff as all of the universes in the galaxy. And I use that with a plural because I don't think there's an end. But you're made out of the very same stuff. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. When you look it up, I'd really love you to be able to think, yeah, I'm a part of all of that.
Body makes me visible, my thinking makes me free, my feelings make me lovable, my spirit makes me be. I am.
Would you please stand and join me in hymn number 27. Would you put your hymnals down, please, and join hands? Now, before we extinguish the flame, if you would, consider the energy that you're holding next to you. And not only the energy, but consider the love that is going around this congregation at this particular time. And if we can all feel the warmth of that, we can understand the oneness, the wholeness of all involved. Now, if you would please join me.
We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you.
Join us for worship service every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua, a welcoming congregation. The church is located at 3024 Cooley Road, 4 miles west of Main Street, Canandaigua, just north of the intersection with Routes 5 and 20. Call for information or directions 585-396-1370. Your comments about this program or questions about the church are welcome at 585-396-1370. To view the latest issue of our newsletter, The Chalice, look at our website, www.uucc.us. Producer and editor, Daniel Brigham.